Nowadays they have mixed up robotics with IoT also. IoT applications are also there with AI. I'm not discussing IoT separately, because again IoT also, just like robotics and these things, is a separate subject. If you want to include many features of robotics and many features of networking are already there in IoT. So IoT based application I'm not discussing, but you know already that this in Internet of Things, what is there, you have a lot of sensors distributed throughout a area, and they are networked to each other. So as I have covered the search part, and the networking falls under this, and also the in robotics we have the sensors. Actually IoT will be using the both of these things that I have described in robotics. Also I will describe in robotics, and that what already is there in uh, this search and networking kind of thing together. So I have not discussed IoT, so if I have time I'll go to the IoT part. But IoT is also having AI based application nowadays. Actually you have maximum things having AI applications, but I'm taking up only the major areas. No doubt now IoT is a major area and I have not yet touched. But like you have cyber physical systems, you have the upcoming 5G technologies, they are all having AI inbuilt in them. So if I start, there is nowhere to end. So I am only restricting myself to the things that I have taken up till the last class, and robotics and natural language processing, and then I'll go to the neural networks, which is the most important one. So starting off, this robotics is a domain of AI, and obviously if you want to build robots, you have to give them a brain, and that cannot be a simple computer dealing with the brain. Otherwise it will be a computer which is moving the things, it will not be a robot. So we want to include some AI in that, so that we can make intelligent and efficient robots. Okay. So as we go ahead, so there are different artificial agents acting in the real world, and mainly what we have them is they we want them to perceive. So perceive means they have to sense something, then picking up, moving, and you have this physical properties of means there may be something where we have a shortage of manpower, or it may be some repetitive action, which say you'll see some people also doing some lot of repetitive, which जो पराठे वाला है वो daily पराठा बनाता है. So for him he is doing a repetitive action, and he has developed the technique. Initially he will take time, as time will go on he will be accustomed to that. So that's why I told we have a subconscious which actually gets automatically trained. Like I think I had given you an example, if you remember. What is the basic difference in the uh, car models? If I group Hyundai, Tata, then Maruti, and I group say Ford, Chevrolet, Volkswagen, what is the basic difference? Can anybody tell me? You have Honda, Hyundai, Maruti, Suzuki, and these in one group, say Tata in one group, Mahindra in one group, and the other group, say I'm putting, say these, uh, say Volkswagen, then Ford and Chevrolet. No doubt most of them have left India, but anyway, what is the basic difference? Can anybody tell me?
Sir, about the features and model.
No, no, no. Basic difference between these group of cars. I am telling about group, not in terms of features. There are a lot of features. Something may be there, something may not be there. That's different. But I have grouped what? I have grouped Ford, Chevrolet. Chevrolet is gone. Ford has gone to some extent. Then you have Volkswagen also is on the way, is also gone, I guess, if I'm not wrong. And the other models who are there existing in the market, Hyundai, Honda, then Maruti, then your Tata, Mahindra. What is the basic difference?
Maybe, sir,
These are
horsepower.
the Indian company.
Yeah, in Hyundai and Honda are not Indian companies.
Yeah.
Maybe horsepower of the engine.
Cost and other things. The basic thing is that these are all Asian models. Okay. And in Asia, the basic system is most of us are right-handed, isn't it? So we drive in the left side of the lane. Bangladesh ka baat alag hai. Okay. But we drive on the right side of the sorry, left side of the lane, isn't it? Because most of us are left-handed. Sorry, right-handed. So right-handed people drive on the left side, and left-handed people prefer to drive on the right side. So that is a common feature. I hope you have noticed that. जो लेफ्ट हैंडेड है उन लोग को थोड़ा दिक्कत होता है इंडियन रोड में, और सेम पीपल आर वेल accustomed when they go outside. So the groups of car that I'm saying is like Ford, then your Hyundai, this Volkswagen and Chevrolet. They are mainly European models, and they uh, are actually left-hand drive cars, which for Indian market have been converted to right-hand drive. So if you notice carefully, or I don't know whether you have noticed or not, even though they made the left hand car a right hand car, they forgot to change the controls of wiper and indicator. Okay, getting what I'm telling?
Yes, sir.
So if you see carefully, like my car is Ford, so I have my this left and right indicator in the left hand. Whereas if you see any Maruti or Hyundai or Honda, they have the left and right indicator in the right hand. Getting what has happened? They have shifted the steering this side, but they have not shifted the steering's controls, because नहीं तो अंदर का पूरा wiring change करना पड़ेगा. They have copy pasted the thing from this side to that side. और शेवलो तो और भी अच्छा किया है, वो मीटर वीटर शिफ्ट नहीं किया, वो बीच में ही रख दिया ताकि शिफ्ट करना ना पड़े. I don't know if anybody has seen the cars. So the basic thing what happens is that, like I go to drive my brother's car, which is Hyundai, I have a problem. What is my problem? Because I am accustomed to driving my car, so I am habituated to use my left hand for the indicator. अभी मैं उसका गाड़ी चलाऊंगा तो क्या होगा? I will not have much problem in driving, लेकिन but most of the time unconsciously मैं लेफ्ट टर्न या राइट टर्न लेते वक्त वाइपर मार दूंगा. Getting the problem I am discussing? And same thing happens when he drives my car, because he uses on the other side. I hope you are getting the problem, because we are accustomed, means we go by habit. किसके घर में गाड़ी है देखा है तो बोलो. Maruti and Hyundai are very common in India. माने in not India, I'm telling in Tripura, because उसका ही सर्विस अच्छा से होता है, बाकी का सर्विस नहीं मिलता है. टाटा का भी है, टाटा महिंद्रा. दिस इंडियन कंपनीज एंड हुंडई इज एक्चुअली इन त्रिपुरा, दे आर हैविंग गुड सर्विस. किसी के घर में ये सब गाड़ी है, यू विल सी योर यू हैव सीन वेयर इज द इंडिकेटर? एनीवन?
Right side.
No, sir.
Yes, right side is in the indicator. You'll have the indicator in the right side, whereas these European models, they are having in the left side. So basically what they did is that they shifted the steering, but they didn't shift the wiring. So as they didn't shift the wiring, so it's there. So somebody who is accustomed, say Tasdik is always say driving कौन सा Hyundai Maruti कौन सा?
Maruti sir, Alto
Okay,
KT.
okay. So if he is driving Maruti always, and he is accustomed to say use indicator in the right hand side, हम उसको दूसरा गाड़ी में बिठा देंगे, which is the steering is in the same side, no problem in that. But even if he is very much conscious also, he will make the mistake of यूजिंग हिज राइट हैंड फॉर द इंडिकेटर, मेरा गाड़ी में बिठाएंगे उसको तो वो उल्टा मारेगा ही मारेगा ड्यूरेशन 10 किलोमीटर या 20 किलोमीटर के ड्यूरेशन में, because you don't use wiper much unless it rains, but you use indicator a lot. So when you use the indicator a lot, what happens is that you go by the habit of using whichever hand you are accustomed to using. So the same thing happens in robots. So in robots, what you are doing, you are say manipulating the objects by perceiving, picking and those. But one difference between them and us is that we tend to do those mistakes because many of the things we do subconsciously, where they go by rules and they will not make that same mistake that what we make. So वो robot को डालेंगे तो उसको अगर program entry करेंगे कि this is for a Ford car, तो वो फोर्ड कार का प्रोग्राम यूज करेगा. अगर हम उसको डालेंगे इट इज ए मारुति कार, इट विल यूज द मारुति कार्स प्रोग्राम. सो इट विल नॉट मेक द मिस्टेक व्हाट वी मेक. ओके, गेटिंग द थिंग? बिकॉज दे हैव अ सेट ऑफ रूल्स. मारुति कार का ये रूल है, फोर्ड गाड़ी का ये रूल है, हुंडई का ये रूल है. So they go by the rules, but we human beings do not go by the rules because we try to use our subconscious, which is something like which has been explored in deep learning as long short term memory. I'll be discussing, if I have time, I'll be discussing those long short term memory, LSTM they say. So I'll be discussing that later on when I'll go to the neural networks. So basically we want when we give them some tasks which are governed by rules and they follow it, pick up, say, and say move, perceive something, do something based on that, and they have to have a demarcation between this is to be done or that is to be done. If they don't have a pure demarcation, it will be something like what happens in computers hang when they are not reaching a stable state. Similarly, these robots will hang if you don't give a particular kind of thing, and they should not have bugs means they should not reach any particular state which may have a problem in deciding whether to go this side or that side. So for doing some repetitive works which are say same, you can go by doing say this, but they will be doing without getting bored or distracted or exhausted like we do. तुम लोग को डेली बोलेंगे कि मेरा क्लास को सुनो, कोई कोई मोबाइल ऑन करके साइड में फेंक के रखा है, 10 से 11 तक उसको ऑन करके फेंक के रख दिया, हो गया. जितना देर अटेंडेंस तो ऑन हो रहा है तो हो जाएगा, बाद में एग्जाम के टाइम पे पढ़ लेंगे. सो this is a repetitive and boring kind of things, so you'll just keep it aside. So who is interested, they'll listen, and who is not interested will leave it aside. And at the end तो सर तो स्लाइड दे देंगे, स्लाइड से पढ़ लेंगे, किताब भी खरीदने का जरूरत नहीं है, वो सर तो इधर से ही देंगे. So that kind of thing might be a mindset. So for at least a few of you, so that thing is there. So you are getting bored because you are not following, you are a human, you are not a robot that will not get bored or not get distracted or not get exhausted kind of thing. So in robotics, what we deal is that we try to include some artificial intelligence so that we can do some objective tasks in a easier way. That is the basic reason for having AI based applications in robotics. So it is a branch of AI which has a combination of electrical, mechanical, computer science, everything together. And nowadays many people call it mechatronics group. Also people work on a lot of these kind of things because they have a combination of mechanical and electronics. But you have a set of earlier electronics didn't exist, so they were electrical for the hardware and computer science for the software kind of thing. So anyway, you can have the combination of all these different branches together. And somebody might say that why not instrumentation, because the sensors and actuators are falling under instrumentation. So these are all circuit branches. Along with that, you have to include the mechanical things. So the aspects that we have of this robotics is that you have to have the construction, the mechanical part, means which form is there, and you have electrical components which handle the power and control of the whole thing. Other than that, you have the brain part, which is dealing with electronics and computer or IT guys who look into the software and hardware of the brain part and the actual controls. Whereas for actually having a physical movement in the real world, you need the electrical and mechanical guys for doing the job. So you have the combination of all the branches in this, and anybody from any of the branches can work on that. Uh, so, going ahead, these are the basic difference between any AI-based program or any robotic system. In AI-based program, you have a computer simulated world, whereas there the robots work in a physical world. So robots take steps here and there, whereas in AI you just simulate the things, and it is not a very means you are simulation based. You don't need a hardware, much of a hardware there. Now in AI, you give symbols and rules as input. Here the difference is that for the robots you will instruct something, or if it is having a camera fitted with it, it will get the images or videos, and it will do you apply computer vision and decide on the things. So you have a lot of programming to do, and moreover AI based programs, they have some algorithms which will deal with the things, and where here sometimes based on the speech waveform or images, sometimes the instructions will not be reaching properly. So there you have to statistically think that what might be the instruction. I am not getting this, I am not getting this. So you have to have a statistical model which actually will decide on which to go and which not to go. Okay. So yeah, in AI you have general purpose computers, whereas in robots you need special hardware with lot of sensors and actuators, or here it is written effectors, the same thing. uh, you need them to sense the things, whether it is a CCD taking the photo and making it decide, or a video camera taking the video and doing computer vision application and deciding, or you may be giving a speech based instruction, which we'll discuss in the natural language processing. So these are the basic difference between any AI program or any robot system. uh, Other than these, there are a lot of many other things that are there, but one the main important is the first one. One is in the simulated world and another is the real world. Say I can write a program that it will give 0 and 1 based on something, but here 0 means say walk from left to right, and 1 means may work from right to left. So for this, the whole body of the robot has to move from right to left or left to right. For doing this kind of thing, you need a lot of electrical signals. So these small microvolts and millivolts have to be expanded to major voltages to run the mechanical systems. I hope you are getting what I'm telling. So यहाँ पे जीरो दे दिया या वन दे दिया, जीरो मीन्स लाइट ऑन हो गया मीन्स यस, और सॉरी वन मीन्स लाइट ऑन हो गया तो यस, एंड जीरो मीन्स लाइट ऑफ हो गया तो नो. But that AI programs can deal in that way. But what you have to do is, मान लो I am having a system which says that zero मतलब लेफ्ट साइड जाओ, वन मतलब राइट साइड जाओ, फिर लेफ्ट साइड कितना जाओगे, नेक्स्ट जो वोल्टेज आएगा मिली वोल्ट में उससे डिसाइड होगा, और राइट साइड कितना जाओगे, और इट में भी राइट साइड जाते रहो टिल यू रीच द वॉल, और लेफ्ट साइड जाते रहो टिल यू रीच द डोर. So for these kind of instructions to handle, you need a whole lot of mechanical and electrical system to handle. So I hope you are getting up to this. Getting this?
Sir,
And you have you know that human beings have how many bones? कितना था? बायोलॉजी में पढ़ा था ना, कितना बोन्स है?
206.
Yes, so you have 206 bones. Here you have to replace the human body with say robot. So there you 206 नहीं होने से भी at least कुछ तो bones देना पड़ेगा. So those bones will not be bones, but just like you have fingers, so fingers may be made up of a lot of bones. But here at least 5 metal का डंडा तो देना पड़ेगा ना वो 5 उंगली के लिए. So you have to control them, and you have to control, just say if you rotate your hand, what happens? You can rotate left, right, up, down. So you have this movement throughout. Finger का भी घूमता है, finger में भी तीन या चार दो 3 या 4 करके जॉइंट है तुम्हारा connecting the things. So you have to have separate joints and you have to have separate controls of. Just see your hand and you can see what type of different kind of movements can you do from your wrist, from in your hands, in your fingers. So if you want a robot to be a good robot, so you need to do उतना movement सिर्फ हाथ में ही करना पड़ेगा, only in your from the wrist to the fingers. Just see and tell me what are you can suggest. Means पांच उंगली का अलग अलग जॉइंट में हिलना पड़ेगा. देन हाथ लेफ्ट राइट अप डाउन ऊपर नीचे. और कोई अगर डांसर है तो उसको मालूम है कितना टाइप का मूवमेंट कर सकते हैं. एनीबडी डांसर हियर अमंग द गर्ल्स? अमंग द गर्ल्स कोई डांस वांस किया है, भरतनाट्यम, कथक, कुछ भी?
नो सर.
कोई भी नहीं है? When you were kids also कोई नहीं दिया? Okay. Mainly I was looking for the mudras. So if you have different mudras that are there in the dance, I hope you have noticed that for any classical dance you have lot of different mudras. So if you have lot of different mudras, उतना मुद्रा का अगर वो हम रोबोट से कराने जाएंगे तो मुद्रा के लिए तो उतना मूवमेंट कराना पड़ेगा ना. लेफ्ट से राइट जाएगा, राइट से लेफ्ट जाएगा, ऊपर से नीचे जाएगा, फिंगर पोजीशंस अलग होंगे. So you have to do so many movements there. So for these kind of things, what you have to do, you need many things. The first part is the robot locomotion. So in robot locomotion means movement from here to there. So this locomotion mechanism, it will make the robot capable of moving in its environment. पहले तो movement कराएंगे, dance कराने से पहले उसको पहले left से right, right से left घुमाना पड़ेगा. So it can be various types of locomotion. उसका पैर डाल सकते हैं, so it will be a legged robot. इसमें चक्का डाल सकते हैं, it will be a wheel वाला robot. इसमें we can have a combination of legged and wheel combination. Means left right भी जाएगा लेकिन नीचे टैंक का जैसा गाड़ी के जैसे चक्का होगा. और थर्ड वाला है ट्रैक्ट स्लिप या स्किड जो टैंक्स में होता है. आई होप यू हैव सीन द टैंक्स. टैंक में कैसा होता है, चक्का घूमता है और वी हैव ए स्किड और स्लिप काइंड ऑफ, वो साइकिल का चेन जैसा पूरा है ना. यू हैव सीन दैट? So that is your slip and skid kind of thing. So these are the just a few. It is not that you have to be limited in few. अभी नया आ गया है, I have not written that. वो देखते हो ना माउस का, पहले जो पुराना माउस का बॉल जैसा भी होता है ना, गोल वाला. You have seen the old mouse जिसमें ये बॉल होता था, माउस का बॉल. You have seen that old mouse? Anybody? पुराना माउस,
Yes,
नॉट
sir.
द. सो देयर उसमें बॉल क्या होता है, बॉल को तुम लेफ्ट साइड राइट साइड लेके जा सकते हो. सो यू कांट कॉल इट ए से दिस. अभी कौन आया? ओके, जॉय. सो you can have left and right movement. It is, so it falls under wheeled only, but difference is that it is no longer a wheel, you have a ball movement. So that kind of things also are there. There are many more. अभी तो ये क्या बोलते हैं ना, वो मूवीज में यूज करते हैं ना, जो 2 चक्का वाला है, इलेक्ट्रिक चार्ज करके घूमते हैं. यू हैव दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स आल्सो. स्केटबोर्ड टाइप का है जो 2 बड़ा बड़ा चक्का है, एक में विद स्टीयरिंग होता है, एक में विदाउट स्टीयरिंग होता है. व्हाट डू यू कॉल दैट? वो लाइट जलता है, 2 चक्का होता है. आई फॉरगॉट द टर्म. मोस्ट ऑफ अक्षय कुमार स्टंट वाला मूवीज में होता है. You have ball based movements there or wheel movement there. I forgot the term anyway. So if you go for the leg locomotion, what do you want it to be? It consumes a lot of power for walking, jumping, trotting, hopping, climbing up and down, and so these kind of things if you want to do, so what do you have to have? You have a good amount of electrical connections which should be strong and stable. पता चला वो एक जंप मारा, आके गिर के पूरा टूट गया रोबोट. Okay, so this is not feasible. So you have to have the thing which is not only able to jump, trot, hop, लेकिन it should be able to control its jump and hop and trot also. वो नहीं तो जंप बहुत ऊपर किया लेकिन गिरा तो पूरा पार्ट पार्ट हो गया. Getting? So you have to have the exact amount of power and handling, and whenever it jumps, you have to have a network which will do the recoiling. So just like टेनिस बॉल में खेलने वाला को अचानक ड्यूस बॉल में दे देंगे तो हाथ वाथ फोड़ देगा. So he has to be accustomed के we'll have more force coming in the ball and we have to push it back so that the force is reduced and you don't hit your hand hard. नहीं तो पता चला फील्डिंग करने के बाद बैटिंग ही नहीं करने रहा, हाथ में इतना दर्द है तो. So these legged motions, locomotions that are there, that can be of different types, but you have to have a system which will handle the whole thing. So obviously for that you need more number of motors. Getting this? For doing so many things, walking, jumping, trotting, you need, सबके लिए मोटर चाहिए. एक मोटर में एक लेफ्ट से राइट या राइट से लेफ्ट ही जाएगा ना, उससे ज्यादा तो कुछ नहीं होगा. So when you have to do so many things, you have to have lot of motors involved. मोटर आ गया मतलब इलेक्ट्रिकल वाला आ गया और मैकेनिकल वाला भी आ गया, isn't it? So for these movements you need motors, and it may be suited for smooth terrain, rough terrain. It may consume more power for wheel locomotion compared to that, because sometimes if you have a legged, then it is for rough kind of things. जैसे कुछ अप हिल टाइप का है, उसको ऊपर से पैर लेके क्रॉस करना है. सो अगर सिंपल व्हील्ड है तो नहीं होगा. दैट वाज द मेन रीजन. क्या हुआ था, वो दीपा कर्मकार ने गाड़ी रिजेक्ट कर दिया था. Anybody remembers that situation? After the Olympics, she had rejected the car offer, BMW. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
so because Tripura roads are having lot of humps, जहाँ जहाँ किसी का एक्सीडेंट होता है वहाँ पे एक समाधि डाल देता है वो, like a speed breaker. So at one time we had a lot of speed breakers throughout, and if you bring those kind of cars which have lower ground clearance, then we are in trouble. So normally in wheeled motion, what problem you have, you should not have much of a up and down, and if you have much of a up and down, it should have a good ground clearance, वो ATV जैसा. So leg locomotion is better for that, but it will consume a lot of power. Why? क्योंकि उसमें पहले पोटेंशियल एनर्जी होगा, वो पैर को पूरा उठाना पड़ेगा, फिर थोड़ा आगे ले जाके पैर को रखना पड़ेगा. जस्ट simply think you are walking like a robot, so you have to pull your leg up, change the angle, go ahead a bit, bend, and then put your leg, and then press the leg there with a good amount of force and pick up the next leg, isn't it? Because you have to balance your weight. When you walk, you are balancing your weight on not on two legs at a time. When you are walking, you are balancing your weight on one leg, isn't it? Just think, when you are walking, एक पैर तो ऊपर जाता है, फिर एक पैर ऊपर जाता है. At a time दोनों पैर तो ऊपर जाएगा तो गिरेगा. Getting what I'm saying? दोनों पैर ऊपर जाएगा तो जंपिंग हो जाएगा. एक पैर at a time walking में क्या होगा, एक पैर at a time. So whether you are going for jumping, when you are putting two legs at a time, means you are coming down with a third. So you have to have a shock absorbers and other things. जैसे बाइक्स में होता है, you have a shock most of you who are having bikes or scooties, you have seen there are shock absorbers. लड़का लोग क्यों पूछते हैं, लड़की लोग को किसी को मालूम है शॉक अब्जॉर्बर वगैरह? देखते हो तुम लोग स्कूटी वगैरह का शॉक अब्जॉर्बर देखा है, गाड़ी का या स्कूटी का? यू हैव सीन दैट?
क्या होता है सर ये, मतलब थोड़ा एक्सप्लेन करिए.
You have seen in the bike, you have near your handle, you are having, when you are pressing the brake, your bike is moving forward suddenly, then there is a retraction. तुम तो बाइक चलाते हो दीपंकर?
हाँ सर.
तो शॉक एब्जॉर्बर नहीं देखा तुम्हारा बाइक का?
देखा होगा सर, नाम नहीं जानता हूँ ना, शॉक उसको बोलते हैं.
खराब नहीं हुआ होगा बाइक कभी. अदर्स शॉक एब्जॉर्बर देखा है?
हाँ सर.
Yes, sir.
Yes sir.
So shock absorber is there because when you suddenly say stop somewhere, or when there are humps or say patthar vattar hoga, तो it will not means it will absorb some forces, and so that you have a comfortable ride. Okay, so when a robot is jumping or say walking, you need shock absorbers also there also. जो नहीं जानता है उसके लिए देखना, बाइक के पीछे एक वो स्प्रिंग जैसा कुछ है, पीछे वाला में, सामने वाला में स्प्रिंग नहीं है लेकिन सामने वाला अंदर घुसता है.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
गेटिंग? उसमें कभी
Yes, sir.
कभार एंड कभी कभार बड़ा वाला कहीं पे किसी ने वो रेसिंग ट्रैक जैसा जंप वम मार दिया तो उसका शॉक अब्जॉर्बर टूटता है, फिर उसको चेंज करने में चूना भी लगता है. In cars you have four, in bikes also you have four. Difference is that car वाला थोड़ा मोटा टाइप का होता है, या फिर कभी कभी nowadays you are having two in each wheels. Yes, in some cars means which are good, having good ground clearance. So you have to have those in the robots also, and you have to have a system which is handling all these mechanical systems, these shock absorbers and other things, based on what the robot is doing, and it should apprehend what it is going to do and what kind of things might. अभी मैं jump कर दिया फिर आके गिर गया तो robot होगा नहीं. So I have to think that when it jumps up, jump तो कर लेगा force डाल के ऊपर उठ गया, अभी जब गिरेगा what is the weight of the robot? The shock absorber attached to that robot and other things have to be able to handle that. नहीं तो it should not be allowed to jump more than this much. Okay. So just like हम लोग बोलते हैं, बच्चे को बोलते हैं यार ज्यादा उछल कूद मत करो, पैर टूट जाएगा, या you may fall and other things. The same things are for robots, but there as robots go by the rules, so there is an advantage that you can write a code accordingly and keep it tracked that you cannot give more than this much force to jump. Why? Because if you give more than this force to jump, ऊपर तो उठोगे लेकिन गिरोगे तो टूट जाओगे. Okay, so there has to be some optimization there, and those optimizations have to be done through with a artificial neural network or any other AI based optimization technique. Getting what I want to discuss here? Moreover, you have
Yes,
you have the power consumption also to be taken care of, because when you have so many motors and other things, you have to have a power consumption system. कितना power खाएगा, इतना सारा motor है, सब लोग अपना अपना power लेगा, and so there has to be a proper battery backup. Power is the issue. They should be low power consumption, as well as अभी बैटरी हमेशा तो हम लोग वायर डाल के रोबोट को नहीं हिला सकते, so it has to have a battery which will charge up to some amount, and then it will say go from here to there or there to here, and up to some duration it can work. Like your mobiles are already having that is, you have a 5000 mAh, so when it is on it can go up to this many hours, and when it is off it can go up to this many days. That is written in the mobiles already, but they don't say how many apps you are opening. So किसी का अगर मोबाइल में भर के ऐप डाल के रखा है and in the background those apps are running, his phone will never give that much backup, isn't it? You have seen that. कोई मान लो कुछ नहीं किया, जस्ट मोबाइल का कैमरा ऑन करके रख दिया, तो कैमरा ऑन करके रखेंगे तो क्या होगा? So it will occupy a lot of this, because the CCD is constantly taking pictures and storing it, and again, though even if you have not actually clicking the pictures, the CCD is accepting the thing, the video processor is running. So along with your mobile processor, the video processor is also running in your, or the camera processor is constantly running there. So it will obviously occupy consume more power. So similarly for robots also, you have to have a proper energy conservation mechanism, otherwise it will not run much, और कुछ कुछ देर में हमको चार्ज करना पड़ेगा. So it is a bit difficult to implement because of the stability issues. So that is always there, and for that only we have AI techniques for optimization and other things. So there may be a lot of varieties, 1 leg, 2 leg, 4 legs, 6 legs, whatever kind of, means these are the different leg locomotions that are there. So you can have that. So there are different gates. Anybody who can tell me about what is gate?
movement of walking.
Yes. So gait is pattern, walking pattern. So that is one of the biometrics. Just like you have fingerprint, signature, and other things. There is a gait pattern also is one of the biometrics. In IIT Guwahati, last time I visited, so they have a gait laboratory. So in that gait laboratory, they do two things. One, they do gait-based biometrics, means by pattern of walking, they can recognize. You can hide your face, you can hide your say fingerprint and other things, but from CCD camera, if and I have a particular candidate whom I am 25, maybe a terrorist or something, he walks in a this kind of style. So if I have his signature pattern of walking, so even if he is disguised based on his pattern, I can say get an idea that this person might be that person who is disguised here. So gait is something like your signature. In signature, you have this. So you'll see your friends also. दूर से मतलब movement से लग रहा है कि ये लड़का या ये लड़की है, because she or he walks in this style. Everybody is having a different gait pattern. So there are here for robots, we have the different gait patterns. Abhi, if the number of legs are different, so there will be different gait patterns. 2 leg, yeah, 1 leg, yeah, 3 legs, whatever is the number of leg patterns. So you have a periodic sequence of lift and release. So whatever is the number of legs, based on that, it will be a periodic sequence of lift and release, and that will be the gait pattern. So किसी में gait pattern 2 leg में जो होगा 3 leg में will not be the same. And obviously even in 2 legs you can have different types of gait patterns, just like we human beings all having 2 legs are still having different leg patterns. किसी का कमर में दर्द होगा, so he'll walk in a different way. So IIT Guwahati is working on gait-based biometrics, as well as say correcting postures of people who are having osteoarthritis and other things. बुढ़ापे में, I think many of you know that old people are having osteoarthritis, and you'll see mainly the ladies, because say giving child during childbirth, a lot of calcium is consumed by the child, because the bones and other things of the child is formed from the mother. So that's why वो ladies लोगों को calcium tablet वगैरह देते हैं. But what happens is when they grow old, if the calcium is not replenished by then, so they have weak bones, they have uh, problems with the bones, and they many of them, you'll see arthritis are there in the old people, but you'll see more in the old ladies compared to the gents. But along with that, there are osteoarthritis also. So some of them are mainly due to calcium deficiency, and some of them are due to over calcium also. Due to over calcium also, you have this kind of problems. So their gait patterns changes. So IIT Guwahati is showing them gait patterns which will actually reduce this. So they are working on that, but they are not doing for the robot part, but they are using artificial intelligence techniques for correcting these measures. So if you have a robot with k number of legs, so the number of events that are possible are 2k minus 1. क्योंकि एक तो रहना पड़ेगा ना नीचे. Getting? If you are having 2 legs, at a time 1 leg is there to support the body. So if you are having more than 2 legs, so obviously that will be there. But if it is 1 leg also, so then also you can do like jumping. So that's why 2k minus 1 means events means what? When it is 1 leg, k equal to 1, so it will be 2 minus 1. So only 1 event is there. But if it is 2 legs, so 2 into 2, 4 minus 1, that is 3. So you can do 3 movements. What are the 3 possible events in with your legs? You can put the right front forward, you can put your left foot forward, and you can jump by 2 legs together, isn't it? 3 events because you are having 2 legs. Clear? And along with that, as it is factorial, so you have how much? So you can do combinations of these. So then you have all different events like 6, because you can move left, you can move right, you can move backward, you can move forward. So all of them will come into picture. So this is only for 2 legs. So you can think वो उसका कितना होगा, वो जो और उसका नाम क्या है, वो स्पाइडरमैन में एक जो डॉक्टर कुछ है ना, so he is having so many legs, so you can calculate what will be his number of movements, isn't it? So that will be how much factorial? कितना लेग है उसका?
So 8 शायद.
8. तो 8 का कितना होगा? 2 into 8 minus 1 factorial, वो भी उसका 8 नहीं है क्या? 6 है क्या? 6 होगा, उसका अपना 2 है और बाकी 4 है ना? या 8 है क्या? I don't know. Anybody else who can confirm with Vishal?
I think it's 8 only.
He has eight tentacles there.
Most probably, sir.
Okay. So 8 होगा तो उसका भी अपना 2 है ना? So you can find out the factorial for that. How many different types of movement he can do. Okay. So the 6 possible movements I was telling for your legs: lifting your left leg, releasing your left leg, lifting your right leg, releasing your right leg, lifting both legs together, and lift and releasing both legs together, isn't it? For the 2 legs.
Yes, sir.
So these are the 6 possible events for 2-legged thing, whether it is a person or a robot, and how you are lifting it and how you are releasing it. There may be time gaps. So your gait patterns will vary because at which angle you are putting the steps, at what degree or angle, with what frequency you are putting. You may walk fast, you may walk slowly. So these all are making the different gait patterns. So somebody might be when he is walking, he might have a problem in left leg या right leg, so his gait will be different. And जब उसका fit होगा, then you will not have that, isn't it? You've seen that. If you say someone has got hurt in left or say right leg, your gait pattern changes. थोड़ा लंगड़ा के चलेंगे. Okay. So that here for these robots, we have a pattern of rule. It will work in that way. Obviously, उसका भी अगर कोई एक पुर्जा खराब हो जाएगा, if any part is problematic, its gait will again change. So in case you are having 6 legs, so you can see, I was actually thinking 6 because I was thinking that that person was having 4 tentacles and his 2 legs. So that's why I had calculated for 6. Anyway, वो होगा तो calculation करना भी मुश्किल होगा. You have to do a lot of factorials.
आई थिंक 6 होगा सर, उसका एक्स्ट्रा 4 है और उसका 2 है.
That is also what I was thinking. I forgot. तो तुम लोग को ज्यादा मालूम होगा. Anyway, वो मूवी रिलीज होने से पता चल जाएगा. So if it is 6, this is the number 3991680 possible events. So you can see how differently he can go. So you have wheeled kind of locomotion. So it requires a few more number of a few less number of motors to accomplish the movement because only the rotation of the wheels are taking place there, and you may have to rotate the wheel left or right that much. Along with that, it is easy to implement because it has less stability issues in case issues, because if you have more number of wheels, or the one that I told, in case you are having mouse ball kind of wheel, so here the control is more easier because mouse can go left, right. You can see when it is a ball kind of thing, ball movement, it is much easier than the wheel movement. So it is more power efficient, obviously, because you don't have to use the potential energy, because for pulling the leg up you need a lot of potential energy, and for pulling it down also you have to use the shock absorbers properly, नहीं तो धम से गिर जाएगा तो टूट जाएगा. So that is a lot of power consumptions there. So there are different, so it is efficient compared to the leg locomotion. So you have standard wheels which rotate around the wheel axle, around the content. You have caster wheel which rotates around the wheel axle as well as offset the steering joint. You have the steering also. Then you have the Swedish 45-degree and Swedish 90-degree wheels. These are omni wheels and rotate around the contact points in this side and that side, in both sides. In this wheel axle and so. And the last one is what I was telling, the ball or spherical wheel. It is omnidirectional. So that's the advantages. And technically, it is one issue is that it is very difficult to implement, because when you are rotating a mouse, you are rotating with your hand and you can decide and you do it. But doing that programmatically, you need the all the angles, spherical angle चाहिए होगा. वो स्टैंडर्ड व्हील में वो लेफ्ट रोटेट करो, राइट रोटेट करो, इतना ही है. यहाँ पे कितना एंगल में घुमा के कितना रोटेट करना है. So I'll say that I'll rotate 90 degree and go forward for this many cycles, then left 45 degree और बीच में मैं 20 degree turn करके फिर 2 सेकंड फॉरवर्ड जाऊंगा या 3 सेकंड बैकवर्ड जाऊंगा या 4 सेकंड लेफ्ट जाऊंगा या राइट जाऊंगा. So programming this ball or spherical wheel, though I was saying that it is very flexible, तो जितना flexible है या जितना flexibility होगा, you will have to do a lot of programming for that. And that programming is not easy. Even if you apply AI also, it's not very easy. Okay, so दूर से देखने में बहुत अच्छा लगता है, but actually when you do physically, it's a very big problem. And one very important area is called biomimetic area. Do you have anybody who has this idea of biomimetic this systems? Anyone? Anyone of you? You are having this biomimetics idea? What is biomimetics? Biomimetic. Have you heard the term biomimetic?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Bot, tell me. Yeah, no problem. You can write what biomimetic is. Just one line or something. Okay, if he is having issues, I'm just telling that here what we do, bio means your life kind of thing, and mimic means what does a mimic do? It copies somebody else. So biomimetic is what? If you are able to mimic our biological systems, like one person in IIT Guwahati, he has been working for long. He is working with foreign universities also, mainly in the prosthetics and other things. Shimantamani Hazarika sir. So he is from Assam. Assam wale Malovika is there, and anybody else who knows him? Shimantamani Hazarika. Now he is in IIT Guwahati. Earlier he was in Tezpur University. Have you heard the name Shimantamani Hazarika?
No, sir.
So he works on biomimetics, means he replicates the hand and leg and nose and other things, and it is very helpful for people who are who have lost a hand or something. So they try to mimic how your human hand functions and other things. नवनीता क्लास तो खत्म होना था. So he is working on that area. So this biomimetics is actually, so he is working in AI and biomimetics and robotics together. So they have merged the things, means AI is taken along with the robotics, and they are trying to mimic how your hand functions or your leg functions or how you rotate your. And here it is a vast area, because if you have a wrist movement, human wrist rotates in various ways, human hand rotates in various ways, human fingers rotate in various ways, and if you can do research in this area to make it much better and better, so it's a very important thing. So he is working in there. Anybody can Google if biomimetics में उनका ही नाम सबसे पहले आएगा, even if he is from India. and you can see IIT Guwahati his website. Every time in NPTEL he is offering a AI course. So anybody is interested, you can look. He is actually from mechanical background and then he shifted to mechatronics. अभी computer science में आ गए हैं. So that's why it is not that you have to be restricted in one area, and he mainly works on these things statistically. So anybody who are those who are from statistics, you know that here a lot of statistics are involved, and that's why we have ISI centers now in Tezpur also. If you say in Northeast we have a center in in Tezpur, and accordingly you can have that. So this is the slip and skid locomotion. This already I told, it is tank-like thing, and you have the different components of robots. Anyway, I'll take up that tomorrow. I'll not be able to take your class. On Tuesday I'll take up. Then I'll stop here because I have.